What's going on, folks? Welcome back to the set. Yeah, I know, sound a little funny, but that's okay, right? So forget what you think about or what you know about budget phones. Today we are going to dive into the shallow end of the pool when talking about the Nothing Phone 3A. And spoiler alert, this thing is anything but ordinary in some categories. So without further ado, man, let's get into it. Now, look, listen, at first glance, when you look at this device, right, what we see is something that looks similarly to the Nothing Phone 2, right? But that's a good thing because that build quality on that device was actually pretty damn good. So although it has the same DNA, it's continuing on that trend of building the Nothing brand. From the unique layout to the Glyph interface, this is not just a watered down flagship device. Simply put, it's actually pretty refreshing to have something different in the space. Now, the 3A is carefully crafted through all of those experiences that made Nothing brand what it is. And this device actually, for all intents and purposes, punches well above its weight class, being that it was sub $400 for this device. Now, all right. So let's talk about the glyphs. Is it just a gimmick? Okay, all of the features that are on modern day cell phones these days, if you don't use them, could be considered a gimmick. But in some instances like this one, the Glyph interface actually provides some level of functionality and usefulness while you're using the device. Now, you can use it to stay informed of who's calling because you can set the Glyph interface to do that. You can use it as a mini strobe light, so to speak, when you're playing media on the device. Or in some instances, if you have, let's say, Uber, you can tie your Uber Eats order into, well, delivery of the order into the Glyph interface, and it will highlight that glyph until your food has been delivered. The glyph lights will be full. Therefore, you will know that your order is sitting on your front porch just because you left the box checks to just leave at the door and they didn't ring the doorbell. That sounds a little personal. But anyway, again, as I stated before, any of these features on devices could be labeled as a gimmick if you do not use them. But in this instance, with the Nothing Phone brand, the Glyph interface is a trademark thing that they have created to provide an extra step of usefulness to a device in a space that's already crowded with multiple things. Okay, so the one thing that did really shock me when I got this device in hand was the display. Now, this display is a 6.77 inch AMOLED 120 Hz dynamic refresh rate on this device. And the colors seem to be pretty dang accurate on here. So that was very, very surprising to me that for a device sub $400, and I'm going to keep saying that during this review because that's very important when we talk about the Nothing phones. Sub $400 for a 6.7 inch display. That's wow. And the bezels aren't really crazy on the device. Now, could they have shrunk them down just a little bit more to look more like the Galaxy S25 Ultra? Yes, they could have. $1,200 versus sub $400. 300 and some change if you want to get freaky with it. You can't complain about that. Now, what I have noticed is the battery in regards to this device. Now, I talked about the size. Okay. But this is a full HD display. It doesn't have the QHD, which I'm perfectly fine with it. But with this 5,000 milliamp hour battery that's tucked inside this device, yeah. Hello battery life. You got full HD, 120 hertz on the refresh side of the game, and a 5,000 milliamp hour battery paired with a Qualcomm Snapdragon processor. Come on, bruh. Like, I get it. Everybody wants the latest and greatest when we talk about processors. Fine. I'm okay with that too. And I can't be like, oh, that's just dumb, because I got the 25 Ultra right here, and I got an iPhone 16 Pro Max somewhere around here, the OnePlus 13 somewhere around here. So I'm not the pot calling the kettle. No, not doing it. You get what I'm saying? This phone is very capable of doing what you need it to do on a day-to-day basis, because it does have that Snapdragon, was it 7 Gen 3 processor in it? Granted, it's not the flagship device of Samsung, of Qualcomm. It's not. But as far as cooling, haven't had any issues with this device overheating. And I took it out in a sunny day, and we were shooting pictures and videos all day long and didn't have any issues with the device overheating. Cool. Far as brightness outside, we got up to 3,000 peak nits of brightness outside. Bruh, again, this phone was less than $400. Now, some may ask, okay, so that sounds great. It sounds practical. Even if you wanted a burner device that's capable at the same time, this will be the one. But the only reason why I say there's a big but when it comes to that is because of the carrier compatibility here in the US. Now, Nothing is a UK based operation, and I feel like that little extra bump would have taken Nothing over the top. Now, for me, one of my lines is with Spectrum, which is in turn on the Verizon network. All right. Or maybe AT&T, one of them. So this phone did work with my AT&T SIM card. It did work with my T-Mobile SIM card, but with my Spectrum SIM card, it was like, yeah, all right, bro. So with those type limitations, it makes it hard to say, hey, this is an actual budget device for the masses here in the States, just because a lot of people these days are, with the economy, are cutting corners here and there to try to make things meet. Going to one of the major carriers and saying, hey, I just want a SIM card or eSIM, let me get it. It's just not there with this device. But that doesn't mean that this device isn't a beast of a budget device, because it actually is. But we still got to talk about the camera. That is the part we need to talk about. So take a look at these shots and these videos, and then we'll come back in and discuss what we have with the Nothing Phone 3A. So as you can tell, we took this thing out to SeaWorld and we got some good pictures and we got some good videos. Now, all photos and videos are for the most part subjective. The question is this phone camera system reliable enough to make sure you don't miss those moments with blurry photos? Now we got a 3-camera setup on the back and we got a 32 megapixel shooter on the front, which for me, I don't necessarily like the front facing camera on this device. And truth be told, since I use the Pixel 9 Pro XL, I can't, whatever device I use, it's always going to be compared to that standard because that is what I like. My Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra, I'm good. The front facing camera is just not it. They took a step back with the 16 megapixel shooter in that, but we're not here to talk about that. For this device, I don't necessarily like the front facing camera. I don't like the stills. I don't like the video because the contrast is always, the ISO and the contrast is always shifting. And there's no manual mode completely to stop the ISO from going absolutely bananas and blowing out the back of your video. So that's why I don't like it. But will you miss important moments using this camera system? No, you will not. As you can see, they're actually pretty decent in good lighting conditions. It's with this device where the low light photos kind of make it lose a little steam, if you know what I mean. Hashtag bars. But in the end, for a $400 device, yes, this is a worthy competitor for budget phone greatness. It's less than $400. Now, is it worth going up to get an extra camera system and the different camera setup for the Nothing Phone 3A Pro? I don't think so, because there's nothing different in that phone other than the camera setup. And if you already don't really like the camera setup or the way the software handles the photos on this device, then you probably don't want to get that either, because that'll put you above $400. And there's several other devices out there that's, yeah, can get your money for that price. So this is an interesting device, folks. It seriously is an interesting device. I love the build quality. I love how light it is. I love the Nothing OS software. We didn't really touch on that, but Nothing OS has some shit going on that I just really like. And again, as far as the phone standby time with this battery and the OS, this thing sips, just like barely sips any battery in standby. The day we came from SeaWorld, this phone was literally, I came back, it was at 58%. After all day, well, granted, we didn't stay all day. I didn't put this phone on the charger till 2 days later, and it was at 48%, and I was still using it in the process. So if you're just looking for a budget phone that, again, punches well above its weight class for this price and the design, which is definitely going to, yeah. When people realize that this is not a case on here, or your Glyph is doing all kind of crazy stuff, they're gonna realize that, oh shit. And they might even ask you, because I've been asked a couple times, what kind of phone is that? And then I go into my spiel and they're like, oh, I didn't know about that. Again, one of those things that Nothing is building towards. And I think they're going to be very, very successful. So I'm looking forward to the Nothing Phone 3. I will definitely be pre-ordering that as soon as they announce it, just because I like this device so much. But I do need them to strengthen their US compatibility. I do need them to do that. I like my flexibility, and most Americans, they like their flexibility too. So with that being said, bruh, this device is definitely one of those ones for me. It will be staying. I will not be selling it, because it's always good to have a cool phone that's light. You don't really have to worry about beating it up We didn't go over a lot of the tech specs in this, again, because it's a $400 phone. Well, sub $400 phone. We talking about like $350, $349, $3 something for this device. Come on, bro. You can't beat that. And for what you get in this device for that price, stop it, knock it off. Hope you guys enjoyed that. Hopefully I was able to provide a real down-to-earth review on a device that a lot of tech YouTubers kind of, you know what they do. I just keep it real, bro. I ain't like the damn cameras on the front. I didn't. The cameras on the back, cool. The cameras on the front, no, that shit's trash. I just keep it real, bro. Everything else about this device, I absolutely love. And it's probably gonna stay in my pocket for quite some time. So again, I'm gonna get on out of here, man. I'm your boy Money Matt. Thanks for watching. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button so we can continue to grow here on the set with your help, of course. It don't cost a thing, just hit that ding. I'm out of here, man.